As we have talked about the pituitary gland, let's talk about some another organ in the human body. It is the pancreas. And many people knows about the insulin hormone and the pancreas because it is very familiar, because the lack of insulin causes a disease that many people know, diabetes. And the insulin hormone is the hormone that controls the blood sugar. Now, as we have talked about the pituitary gland and its delicate balance, its delicate abilities that it can make, also the pancreas can do such thing. For example, when we eat food, it starts with like that. When we eat food, our stomach and our intestine starts to digest the food. And it gets the foods like sugar, protein, fats, and some other ingredients, and takes them to the bloodstream. When it enters the bloodstream, there's a very special system in our body, in the circulation system, that to understand the level of the sugar. Sugar level is very important, and our cells need sugar to produce energy. It is obvious, especially the brain cells. They really need only the sugar. And as the sugar level should not decrease from its normal level, so there's a system in the pancreas, some of the sensory systems that can understand that the level in the sugar is decreasing or increasing. If, as we said, eat something, the sugar level increases. And this sends a message, gives an information to the pancreas. It is very amazing, mashallah. And the high levels of sugar can damage the cells also. Sugar can accumulate some places, like brain, like some other organs, some vessels. It can damage vessels. So it shouldn't get high, the amount. So actually it starts with, as we said, eating food, but also even if you drink a tea with sugar, even if you just eat just one sugar, it is enough for your pancreas to understand that the sugar level is increasing. It is very amazing, mashallah, because it can somehow count the sugar. How could it be possible that
Yes.
we are talking about the flesh?
Yes.
And this is an organ that don't have eyes, don't have brain,
Yes,
don't
of
have
course.
hands, don't have any organ with which we can understand what is the level of the sugar in the blood.
Yes.
Or it don't have laboratory, even a laboratory before, because when we are sick, we go to the laboratory, gave our blood, and they took sample and say, oh,
Yes.
the level of sugar is such and such. But our body, this organ, don't have any laboratory, but it makes this in a second, or even in more quick way, and understands what is the level and decides to increase or decrease
Insulin
these
levels.
insulin
Yes.
levels.
And as we said, it is counting the sugar in the blood. And we said there are actually approximately there are 5 liters of blood in the human body. And how could tiny cells can understand and calculate the amount of sugar in 5 liters of blood?
It's impossible.
It is
Yes,
impossible.
yes.
It is a miraculous thing.
And these cells have to work together. These cells are clusters like called islets of Langerhans.
Yes.
They work together. The blood is directly coming inside of these clusters,
Yes.
and the blood is directly going out of these clusters. And I think in human body there are about 1,000 islets of
Yes.
Langerhans in just one pancreas, and they have to work together at the same time. About 1,000 of them, and they are on a network.
Yes, and as the special cells, they are beta cells, understand that there is the insulin requirement, they produce the insulin, and insulin is a special key for our body. In our body, the cells have special doors for sugar. There are special gates, and these gates are locked. They are not open all the time. Insulin is required to open these gates. And when the pancreas understands that the blood sugar is high and it has to be removed from the bloodstream, it produces this key. And this key travels through the body with the circulation and goes to the special cells and open the doors, open the lock. It's the key, it opens the door.
And what are the proteins?
Yes, they are the proteins. The doors, the gates are also created with the proteins. And it is also very amazing that these doors, these gates are only for sugars to pass. Actually, when you think about the blood, there are hundreds of thousands of molecules in the blood. But these gates, when the insulin comes and opens the doors, only sugar can pass through these gates.
So
how could it be
recognized?
possible?
Yes.
Who makes them to understand that yes, this is sugar, it can pass, and no, this is protein, it cannot pass? Who decides it?
Yes.
It is very miraculous. It is clear that it is created.
And there's no time to decide about
Yes.
something. It has to be as soon as it is needed.
Yes, from the very first
Yes.
moment the cells are created, because the sugar is the most important ingredient for energy.
Yes.
So it is the very first moment the cells are created, they should have that gates, special for the sugar.
And if problem occurs between these gates and the keys that are trying to unlock these gates, diabetes too occurs.
Yes.
It may cause death sometimes.
Yes. And also what's more, it is very amazing that pancreas has a very special book in its library. I want to say the DNA, that has the formula of this key.
Yes.
How could it be possible? No other cells have such a key. No other cells have. Actually, they have, but they cannot produce the formula. They cannot understand and solve the formula. But the cells inside the pancreas, they have this special formula, and they can produce the insulin.
Yes.
And we have discussed many times about the proteins. The key and the key and lock system is very special. I mean, you cannot use another insulin, another structure instead of insulin. You have to produce insulin to use it. And how could also, there's another question emerged here. How could pancreas know the whole requirement level of the body? I mean, pancreas is just a part of the body.
Yes. Yes.
But it knows the body's, the whole system's need, the level that the whole system needs. And why should sacrifice itself to maintain this balance? Because we are talking about the flesh. We are talking about, if it was for the evolutionists, they should think that the cells should be selfish and they shouldn't produce so much insulin. They shouldn't sacrifice themselves days and nights to control this blood sugar. But it is not like that.
Yes.
From the very first moment the pancreas is created, it makes and balances the sugar in the blood. And
MashaAllah. And actually, Allah reminded a verse, I seek refuge in Allah from a curse Satan. Glory be to you, we have no knowledge except Allah, you have taught us.
Yes.
And these miraculous things show that only Allah knows the keys and the gates. And Allah creates every key and its lock, so that we can understand these miraculous things, details about the human body.
yes, a key, a protein, a cell can never know anything. Allah knows everything.
Yes. Yes.
Inshallah. And for the hard times, for example, glucose also stored in some of the organs, like liver, as we have discussed, and muscles. But muscles store glucose for exercise. If you do some sports or something else, the muscles use the glucose that they stored. But liver is the center, the real place for controlling, balancing the sugar level in the bloodstream. And there is a special, again, another special key, another special hormone in pancreas. It is glucagon. This is also it's again a protein, a hormone that can understand the level of the sugar when it decreases in the blood and goes to liver. At first goes to liver because again it knows that liver is the first center that you should go, and makes the gates open to release sugar into the bloodstream. Now this is something really amazing because we are talking about an organ that can have the formula of two different proteins working opposite.
Yes.
One of them increases the blood sugar, one of them decreases the blood sugar. And it is really something that should be think deeply. Pancreas has never tested the human body to understand if it uses the glucose, what will happen if it uses the insulin, if it uses the glucagon. It never tested the human body.
It knows.
Yes, it knows, because if it tested something like that, it caused death. We cannot survive such a system.
And
We
what
don't have that
defines
time.
the what defines the normal level
Yes.
How can it be understand that this is normal? Maybe it is less for a human body, but no, it decides that it is normal. This blood sugar is normal for a human body.
Yes, and glucagon did not beat the pavement and walk around to see, to go door to door to understand which place is the center for the sugar, which place is the center for the pancreas. It really knows it from the very first moment it is created, and we are talking about proteins here. And
Protein is molecule.
yes, it is just a
Nothing more.
molecule. It doesn't have a brain. It doesn't have eyes. We witness a perfect creation here. It is obvious. We see creation here, and there are some absolute must requirements of this system that has to be together. The cells are speaking with each other. The systems are working in a harmony. They all know each other. They are working together to increase the blood, decrease the blood, to make the balance. And it is obvious that it is created for a person who has a clean mind, who can see, who can think, who can understand, can easily see it. Inshallah.
The communication by itself is a great miracle, because
Yes.
there are different organs. We say they have different works to do in our body, but they speak the same language. How it's possible?
Even though we are all human, we don't have the same native language. We are very different native language. For example, some are talking in Turkish, some are talking in English. Yes, they are all the human, but they don't have the same language. But somehow these proteins, these hormones in the body have the same native language and can understand each other by the miracle of Allah.
And also it is a very wide area.
Yes, of
It
course.
is like a total world, like a total universe for cells to communicate each other. It is very distant from, they are very distant from each other. And they have very tiny molecules. Hormones are very small. And when you consider it like a very small hormone in a 5 liter of blood, it's like maybe a drop of water in an ocean. How could it travel all through the ocean and find the correct place? How could it be possible? Of course it is something that Allah creates in it.
Yes, mashallah.